right, let's talk about the fifth grade project, STEM project that you have going on this year. So this year, students are going to make a carnival game. And last year, if the students were in the program last year, they made arcade games based off of Kane's Arcade, and they were super excited about it, and they got really into it. And this is kind of the next step up. This is the next level up, talking about carnival games. And so, yeah, this is. I just want to give you some context that there may be students who are like, wait, isn't this something similar to what we did last year? Similar, bigger. So the idea is instead of having tabletop games, arcade games, now they're making larger carnival games. And really, we're going into this notion of carnival games are used to make money. And so how is it that we can use maybe some math in this to say, what's the probability of winning at certain games? And so this is the idea, at least. So week one, you're going to be jumping in with engineering design process. What's the basics of it? They probably have heard about it from last year, but this is kind of a review. Gain some hands-on engineering stations where it's just kind of some fun, quick activities they can do in one day. And then do this initial design challenge called Blast Off, which is going to be a little rocket building activity there. And then they're going to have a chance to re-engineer, which is a big part of the engineering design process, and then jump into designing their carnival games, and then moving. And week three is all about building and trying to make that happen. So it's going to take some time, right? It will definitely take some time for this all to happen. Okay, and then the project overview video that you're watching now is right there. All right, so key resources. This is a video that I made on engineering design process. I strongly recommend you watch it because it just gives you some context around the engineering design process, words to use with the students, kind of the environment and feel of it as you go through it. Here are a bunch of websites that I found or videos. I think they're all websites of things that you could possibly be used for carnival games. So this is just some idea generating tool here. One of the things I do is I make these must do, should do, and aspire to pieces. So I just kind of show in the lesson the ones that are really important, the things that are kind of optional. So just kind of, there's a video that explains it right here, so you can watch that just to get a sense of it. There's not a whole lot of should and aspire to do this in this particular unit because you're doing so much of the build in it. Okay, so I've got materials list. That's actually going to get more fleshed out. Week one. So like I said before, Anchoring Phenomenon is this video that you'll watch about how carnivals can scam players. Now, I realize it's kind of a negative thing, but it's, I guess, twofold for the students. One, to understand that carnival games scam. They are intended to make money, right? They will, if they engage in carnival games, they're probably going to lose money on this process. They might have fun, and that is what they need to understand. It's it's okay to have fun, but understand that you might also be losing money on the process. But then how can we use that to think about how can we create games to make money then? It's okay to make money. That's a part of our society and our culture. So is it possible to create a game that's fun enough that we can make money from it? You will not actually be making money in the mercado. We don't want to have that be an actual thing that happens, but it's possible if students are really into the money making part of it. Maybe you can create some fake money and have students kind of play around with the notion of how that process works and can they actually make money from these. Engineering design process. There's a video here about introduction to engineering from NASA. And then this poster right here, engineering design process poster, strongly recommend that you have that printed out and put up on your wall somewhere or redesigned or recreated in some way so that this language is large and in the room that you can keep pointing to. Where are you at in the process right now? Are you in the ask, the research, the imagine? Where are you? And have students really think about this as the circle that keeps going around. The next day is, like I said, day 2 is the engineering stations. So there are 6 stations here for students to rotate through. They may or may not get through all of them by the end of the day, but that is the idea there. And this group discussion, ideally, you'll have at the end of the day about, what is engineering? What did you learn about it today? What did you learn about communication, right? And so one of the focuses for this year with the 5th graders as opposed to the 4th grade unit is about communication and how do we do that in a way that is productive and helpful and not hurtful. Because sometimes when we are building things, we might make mistakes and then get pretty angry about things. And there are some things in here, especially around the glue and things like that, and the domino diving board, that might help them in designing some of their games. It's all possible. So bring that back. Day 3, the end of the week for the first week 1, is the rocket challenge. Again, we're having them just kind of design things and go through this process. It's very high interest, and so it would be a fun way to end the week. Come back the next week, week 2, and have them redesign that rocket. A huge part of engineering design process is that you're never done. And so this process could keep going on forever and ever. And so we're going to go back to that redesign there. Have a couple optional pieces here that you might change. So you might, for example, give them some paper clips and say you have to have 2 paper clips on or inside of your rocket, and as a payload, right? As rockets, when they get sent out into space, typically carry something with them. So they might shorten that. It might change their designs a little bit. So that you might add in another piece there. Carnival Game Challenge. So this is when it starts. Day 5 is the start of the Carnival Game Challenge, where they are going to start looking for, and designing, and then creating the carnival games. And again, as you go through the process, make sure you're looking at that poster. And the very first step is to ask, as a class, how do we create carnival games that visitors at the Mercado can play? And some of their restrictions or some of their limitations are mostly made from recycled materials. Cardboard is going to be primary. And then challenging but possible to win. Like, it's important that they are still going to have winners. Then they're going to research those and then start to imagine, which is if this is the one we're going to pick, if we're going to do a ball toss to bottles, then how would we do that with recycled materials and as inexpensively as possible? And one thing I really do recommend is having students create an interactive notebook during the project, and they can do daily reflections as they go through the process. It's really helpful for students to have some reflection time. It's a good writing prompt for them, and it actually tells a good story by the end of the project. Okay, then day 6, they should be making a plan. It is very possible that some students will still be on deciding what game to play, even on day 6, and that's okay. It's just they need to know by the end of this week, you need to have your plan finished, and it takes some time to do that. So, although even I'm sure you're going to have some groups that are going to go off into the 3rd week before they're done finishing their plan. I have an example plan down here that I drew. It's certainly not much to look at, but it gives the students an idea, I can have a top view, a side view, and how does it look with the materials list. So it just gives them an example of what could be done. Let's see, I do have some videos in here. These links may change. I just found these on the internet about how to make cardboard stronger. Because these are bigger games, you might need to have thicker cardboard, not just single layer, but maybe triple or double layer cardboard. I may remake these videos and clean them up, because some of them are good, but really boring. So you certainly wouldn't want to have students watch it. And so I might try to make some videos that are a little more interesting for students to watch. Week 3 is all about the building, right? So prototyping, though, the first day of the week, or the first day they start building, I think it is important for them to kind of try some things out, right? And there might be some pre-built boards for them to play with, and how does cutting work, and what is the best way to make a strong table or design, or what. It depends on what they're doing, of course, but really looking at different types of prototypes. Redesigning it after they go through a process of testing some of their prototype pieces. They may realize their game's too easy, they may realize their game's too hard, or they need to change it in some way. So there probably will be some redesigning that needs to happen. You don't have to do this. I actually should have this as a should do here. This reflection day, it's really beneficial to stop. And maybe you do this every day, or at the very end of the day, you have students reflect on what's working well, what's not. Are there any lessons that group 1 could share with the class that might help them in their process, or vice versa? So that reflection piece is a really nice day, really nice thing to do. Build day 4, they keep working again, and then you should have some sort of reflection at the end of the week maybe a little larger of a reflection. And then we're going into week 4, the last week. Again, they're building. This is going to be like crunch time. They're really trying to get things done as fast as possible. If you have the time, then do this final build day, reflection day, where maybe students showcase. And this is an option you could do. The 4th grade group is going to be making the arcade games. And so maybe they can switch or have some sort of mixing that goes on so they can share with each other the games that they created, maybe do some testing, give some feedback to each other, things like that. So this is just an option. And then there's a bunch of final reflection questions here if you choose to use them. That's up to you. And then day 15, of course, is the Mercado Day, where you're going to be setting up and making sure the games are all ready to roll. And I do like the idea of them having their name on it and maybe the name of the game, something like that, to kind of give people who are walking by and trying the games an opportunity to get to know who was the creator. So that's the project. And I hope you have a great time. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will help you out as much as I can. Take care, and good luck.